Hi, everybody, it's me again, and we're back with another Books versus Movie episode. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done this. I'm sorry I haven't gotten to it sooner, but hey, quarantine time gives plenty of time for anything now. So, what are we going to be looking at now? So we are going to be looking at Gulliver's Travels, and yeah, you could see that I have one DVD here of one of the many adaptations of Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels, but but we're going to be looking at three adaptations of the story and see how they match up compared to the book. One is this one, the 1939 version, and then we're also going to look at the 1996 live action version and the 2010 version. But that's later. So, what is Gulliver's Travels about? Well, basically, it's the I mean, it's the four odd voyages of Lemuel Gulliver that have been recorded by Jonathan Swift, or he wrote the stories, and they range from a shipwreck onto Lilliput, where everyone is less than half an inch compared to him, or he gets abandoned at this on this island where everybody is a giant compared to him, and then he gets kidnapped to Laputa, a flying island, and this other island, this other island that is under Laputia's rule. I'm sorry, I could not pronounce the name. Uh, so um so we won't get that for now. But and and then he goes to Lugnag, and where a magician dwells, and he also goes to to Japan. Surprising that they'd actually put a real place in here compared to all the other places he goes to. And the final voyage that he goes to is is where a mutiny crew where a crew commits a mutiny and leaves him on a land where everybody is a horse, a talking horse. Oh my gosh. This book was written in 1726, and this was long before Alice in Wonderland, but good grief, the imagination here is beyond impressive. Jonathan Swift took the ideas of Gulliver's Voyage and went all the way with them, all the way to the moon. I mean, also, each trip never shied away from the author's viewpoints or satire on any political matter, and and would have deliberate parallels to the situation, whether it involves Lilliput's war against Blefuscu over cracking eggs, or ruin in Balnibari, all because of blind pursuit of science without practical results, representing the bureaucracy of Royal Society experiments. People either adored these books or hated them for the themes that they had, or sometimes even both. Yeah, there can be an adoration and a hatred for some art, and this was no exception. I, but more often than not, people found the adventures of Dr. Lemuel Gulliver, fascinating. The most fascinating thing about them, rather than the themes. And we're going to look at the three adaptations that that also agree how fascinating these adventures are. The first stop we're going to look at is the 1939 animated version made by Paramount. And this was obviously made to cash in on Disney after the release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs 2 years prior. I mean, I I wish I had a good picture right now, but even Gulliver almost has similar features to Snow White. I mean, with short black hair and kind of the face, and and then of course these characters, the Lilliput. I mean, the people of Lilliput almost look like have some of the similar characteristics of the seven dwarfs. Heck, one of them, Gabby, is voiced by Grumpy. Look it up if you don't believe me. And forgetting the fact that it's Disney's rival, how is the movie? Well, obviously the animation is terrific, even if by today's standards it would be pretty dated. And the plot was somewhat dated too, but somewhat kind of works. I don't know if Gulliver counts as the main character in this movie compared to everybody else in Lilliput, particularly Gabby. Then again, even in the novel, he was always kind of the observant and personified blank slate for for lack of a better word. Um, I pretty much this movie loved Lilliput a lot more than Gulliver and took advantage of every moment with them, even showing how they captured, cleaned, and clothed Gulliver, which I actually do kind of like. You don't know how they put Gulliver onto this cart until not even Gulliver never reveals how they put him on there. But in here, it kind of gives a pretty good idea of what could have happened. So I applaud them for that. And also, since it is a kids' movie, they did make some major changes from the book. Like, Gulliver was already asleep when captured the whole time and didn't have to be drugged. Also, he throws water to put out a fire on this shack rather than urinate on it. Yes, the book did get that crass. And also, they made it a musical, of course. And the princess in this movie is less selfish. And, of course, one of the bigger changes is that the cause of the war between Blefuscu and Lilliput, which in this case, instead of cracking eggs, is about a wedding song choice, which I guess a lot of the fans of the book would probably be outraged by a lot of these choices. And while I do understand, I'm also not that bothered by it because, well, in the book, the people of Lilliput were pretty much trivial and their cause over warring over with Blefuscu to crack eggs. So, warring over a wedding song, I wouldn't put it past them, so it doesn't seem that far-fetched. So, if you're looking for a family-friendly version of the story, this isn't that faithful, especially since Gulliver solves the war and in the book, there's nothing he could do to stop anyone. However, I think it's a good adaptation, but we'll get back to later. Okay, how about the 1996 live version miniseries? Somewhat along the same lines, somewhat along the lines of what I've imagined before. The only difference is that in the book, Gulliver went home after each voyage. I'm surprised that he would go back out to sea, but his choice, or author's choice, whatever you like to call it. And in the movie, he recounts his haunted 11-year voyage to all the places in the book, and how it took such a toll on him that he gets committed to an asylum and must prove to his family and the doctors that he is not crazy, that everything happened. I almost imagined that would happen if he had come home. And I like that this movie plays up on that. And pretty much the movie obeys the rules of the book, for the most part, and does everything, and does it in a way that is very engaging. It is proof that being faithful can actually work and not be entirely boring, though you could still tell that some of the effects are dated as well. Like, you could tell that the actor for Gulliver was in a separate room when he was interacting with the small or large characters. But that's 1996, so what are you gonna do? And then we've come to it. Oh boy. The 2010 Jack Black version. This is the movie that made me nearly hate Jack Black for everything. But, well, movies like Kung Fu Panda and Jumanji have redeemed him for me, so way to go on that, Jack Black. But this movie itself, where do I begin? First off, what a gross miscasting of the main character. Like I said before, Jack Black can be a great actor, but I'd sooner believe he was Carl Denham from King Kong than I would believe him as Lemuel Gulliver. Even if he was not using his comedic antics, I still would not buy it one little bit. Just go to Google Pictures, look at Jack Black, and would you really think the name Lemuel Gulliver in modern day? I wouldn't buy it. Even if I had never read the book. I'd buy it a little more if he was Lemuel Gulliver's great-great-great-grandson or something like that, but not as Lemuel himself. Also, it's another liar revealed plot. He makes himself out... he goes to Lilliput, he makes himself out to be a writer in the beginning, when he's really just into plagiarism, and a warrior to them, telling them that he was president, where he came from, and using Star Wars references. Disney, how did you not sue them? Or Fox Studios, Lucas Studios, whoever was in charge of Star Wars at the time, how did you not sue them? Until he is face to face with fighting a robot. This movie pulls my leg at that point, at that plot point. What does Lilliput have to do with fighting a robot? A giant robot? This is not Transformers. On top of that, when he does go to the land of the giants, the little girl threatens him badly. In the book, she treated him like her own son, despite being 8 years old. This movie, even on its own merits, is irritating because the hero lying plot has been done so many times. The main character lies about being a hero, is banished when caught, and comes back to be a real hero. Are you surprised at that? No, I guess not. And also throwing Jack Black and childish humor into all of it makes it even worse. So yeah, I do not like this movie, and not just because it's a bad adaptation. However, if I was to compliment this movie for anything, it would be the effects. And how much more superior than the 1996 movie that they look. You get the people of Lilliput standing on top of Jack Black when they're tying him down, and he does occasionally look like he's talking to them. And as much as I bash Jack Black and every actor that was involved with this movie, they all gave it their best. And I feel kind of sorry that I've bashed them. Because really it's the writer's fault in this movie. The script was terribly written, and as an adaptation, of course it's a failure. And now we've come to the big part. Deciding the winner. Which version is better? One of these movie adaptations or the book? Let's look at the movies first. The 2010 movie already loses big time, so especially as an adaptation. So you're out, Jack Black. How about the other two? How about the other two movies? As much as I like the 1993 animated version, it just really cannot compete, especially with how very little interest in Gulliver himself. Even though I really liked the way they did the people of Lilliput. So the 1993 one loses this round. I still like it though. How about the 1996 version? I like how it takes place after the voyages and proving his sanity, but the main problem is that it cannot stand on its own without a source material that everybody can be familiar with. So, as much as I like that movie and the 1993 movie, I cannot help but say that the winner is the book. I mean, the imagination that goes on in these stories is out there and amazing and fun and really exploits that. And I highly recommend that you check it out. I mean, the imagination is out of this world. Plus, you kind of become Gulliver when you're reading it. I so if you like any of these movies, that's great. I have nothing against them, except maybe the 2010 one. But the other two movies, I really like them too. I just think that the book is superior in the battle versus. I mean, in this battle of books versus movies. So, the winner is the book.